You know what's crazy? There was this one time, and man, I might get in trouble, like people bashing me for this, but I get a little bit weird when it comes to like people coming up to me and like I'm a prophet. I'm like, okay.
I don't need nothing else. Every time I'm with you, yo, it's something else. It's a fact, and it's nothing else. Get your hand out, you don't even need the help. Ooh, I don't need nothing else. Every time I'm with you, yo, it's something else. It's a fact, and it's nothing else. Get your hand out, you don't even need the help. Ooh, that's right. I don't need nothing else. That's right.
King's Dream Entertainment.
I had a production deal with Reach Records, but with Rodney Jerkins, that was a really crazy story. I was in LA trying to make it, living on trying to find quarters every single day just to go to McDonald's to have a sandwich. That broke, not knowing what I'm gonna do because I'm trying to just live out the dream as a music producer, right? Young 20s. And Lecrae comes to visit me one day in LA, and at that time I'm in a studio with someone that works for Nickelodeon. And we're doing all these kids pop record stuff. Trust me, LA is crazy. You gonna find everything there. But yeah, Lecrae comes to visit me, and he's checking on me, just seeing how I'm doing, and he's impressed with the music that I'm doing. And he had built a relationship with Rodney Jerkins, and he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna connect you to Rodney." And I'm like, "Okay, like, I don't know what that means." There's a legend here. And then I quickly found out Rodney was a believer. And he was like, he told me these words. So I got to meet him. He's like, "Man, you're really talented, and I want more people like you in my studio. I just need more Christians around me, surrounding me, creating good music." And I was like, whoa. So he gave me a free studio room, bro. And I got to produce all the time there, excuse me. And I just got to produce.
Wow.
I didn't have to pay rent. I didn't have to do nothing. I was just producing, and he would come in and give me pointers. And that's how I met a lot of crazy people. I got to make the song "You Will" for Andy Mineo at that time.
Yeah,
at that
crazy
studio.
record.
Yeah. What's crazy about that song, it was almost Justin Bieber's record.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
That could have changed my life, but
it still changed your life. I mean, I'm sure that record changed a lot of people's lives.
Changed my life.
Changed your life financially in a different tax bracket. That's crazy. Let me ask you this. Not to jump back and forth, but from a business standpoint, when a producer is signed to a label, right? You ended up being an artist on Reach, but you were first a producer. How does that work? Because I think a lot of people also don't understand how is that kind of set up. You know what I'm saying? Can you break some of that down for us?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much the same as being an artist signed to a label.
Okay.
So there's millions and millions of different type of contracts that you could do with the label. But at that time, I was getting married and everything, and Reach had the finances to support the things that I wanted to do and needs. I needed money.
Yeah.
And then also Reach had been family to me for so long, where I was like, it just makes sense to join the team officially, not just side deals. So yeah, they helped me a lot. That year that I signed with them, man, that was one of my best years as a music producer. You're talking about, I did Anomaly, I did Tedashi's, what was that? Oh my gosh, what was that EP called? But yeah, I did Tadashi, then Triply, Rise. I got to do KB stuff, Undefeated. That 2014 for me was crazy, and that's when I signed with them. So they really helped me with my royalties and everything. That was a great year for me. So yeah, I think there's just different stories when people sign. I don't think everybody needs to sign, but yeah.
Got it. That's what's up. So for you, it was more of a seamless transition. You were already working with them. You guys just you were basically an artist producer, and then you started doing vocals and became an artist, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the vocals. So obviously, you didn't start out singing, but you were laying references, which I would encourage. I think producers should be laying references, giving artists ideas. That's always helpful, whether it's cadences or full-on hooks sometimes. You know what I mean? Because you said you were doing it as references, but I'm sure some of them vocals ended up making the projects. You know what I mean? Which is fire. When I always tell artists and producers, if you aren't a professional singer and you're not getting vocal lessons or have gotten vocal lessons, grew up singing, then you have to then lean on the technology side and master the technology end of it, right? The auto-tune. Right. So like you're either going to be a dope singer who grew up singing and has the ability to sing and is working on their voice as a craft, or you're using the technology, learning the Waves tune or the Anterior's auto-tune, learning how to create your own vocal chain, create your own type, situation like a Travis Scott or whoever, right? So in your situation, would you say you kind of did you end up taking vocal lessons, or did you pivot and just go all in on the technology and kind of you were able to carry a tune good enough and leaned into the technology side more?
Yeah, my sister, my older sister, she would always sing in church, and then she was in vocal lessons and stuff like that. So I always got to see what she would do and exercises. And then of course, growing up, in the music industry, you see all these different vocalists coming to the studio and what they're doing. So I'm imitating what everyone is doing at that time. And then when I'm recording myself,
when you say imitating, not to cut you off, are you talking about you're imitating their warm-up exercises, or what are you imitating?
The warm-ups, doing fake vibrato whenever I try to sing on the mic. I'm like, how do you do like all these different things. I'm trying to learn. Like I never, use the muscles of my vocals.
Yeah.
So at that time, this is one of my first projects I ever sang on was like stuff with Ray Soul or Social Club, that joint with the Pug, Misfits 2.
Yeah. I remember that record.
I'm on that. I was singing. So that was like my early on days where I'm like, oh, let me like try this, And it just kind of kept on going. And then I figured out auto-tune. That helps out a lot. I figured out how to breathe, during singing, even live. Live is a whole different game that I just learned. Mm-hmm. Like there's a thing you could do recording here in the studio, but when you're singing live in front of a crowd, that's like way different. So I'm still learning.
And basically what I'm hearing you say to kind of weave all this together is all along what you're doing is you're talent stacking. You're coming out, you're playing keys and drums as a kid, you talent stack that, boom, now you're making beats. You pivot from that, now you start playing more pop music. Then you watching pop stars and you're taking the experience and you're incorporating and imitating and using the technology. And so you're really just finessing these things, not finessing, that sounds weird, but like you're taking these things and you're watching them and you're stacking them on top of each other. And then you intended just to be a producer and now you're a full-on artist singing live at shows, which is kind of crazy if you think about it in terms of probably how you envisioned your career playing out to where you actually are.
It's crazy. There was this one time, and man, I might get in trouble, like people bashing me for this, but I get a little bit weird when it comes to like people coming up to me and like I'm a prophet. I'm like, okay, but man, this is the realest thing that ever happened to me. Like I remember I was 12 years old and my parents forced me to go to this church with them, and I did not want to go. And then after the church, my parents had never met this pastor, nothing. They just heard about an event that they thought we should go as a family. And then the pastor said, hey, I want to pray for people after the service. So my family was like, we need to go. We got to go, for prayer. And we go, and the guy looks at me as he's talking to my parents, and he's like, you come here. And I was like, yeah. And I hated that. Like, I hate being on the spot. Like, oh, this man gonna try and lay some hands, make me fall or something, And he literally looked at me. He's like, man, I don't know. The Holy Spirit is just telling me something here. And he's like, let me pray for you. And he's praying. And then he's like, man, I see you on stage and you're just jumping around everywhere. At this time, I'm 12 years old though, and I just started thinking of the idea of what music production could look like in my life. And I just looked at him crazy, and I was like, bro, I'm not a gymnast. I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, no, I see you do music, don't you? You love music. And I was like, oh yeah, I like music. Yeah, I hope I could do some music. And he's like, yeah, I see you jumping around and doing music. I don't know what it is, but I just see that, and I just want to pray over you. Bro, I've held out. My sister reminded me of that when I started, becoming an artist on Reach, and I started performing. She's like, look, God spoke that. He already saw it. He already knew you were about to be jumping, doing the mosh pits and doing music. And I was like, that's wild. Like, I didn't even remember that. I still, to this day, I'm a little like, I don't know, maybe that was a good guess or something,
Reporting to you live from New York City, from the borough, Brooklyn, all the way to the shores of the West Coast. If it ain't King's dream, it ain't no dream.
Hey yo,
God always.
We in the city, New York City, ain't no telling what you might see. Bronx up to Queens, Manhattan, rockin' with me. Moving through the borough, King, dreaming with my brethren. I might buy a Yankee fitted cap, and I don't watch baseball. Living like I'm crazy. If the mission didn't pertain me, I'd be trying to chase the bag. Get a Billy like I'm Jay-Z. But I'm here because he saved me since that day he spoke the flame and he gave